I am the Irish guy, and right, okay. Today, I'm gonna rank every Premier League club based on how likable their squad is. I mean, I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong with this one, but this is just me guessing how much your players are actually liked. So let's just see. Right, let's go. 20th, Manchester United. Manchester United are a great club, one of the finest institutions in the world, but their playing squads never won any popularity contests in the past, even the glorious world-class squads they had under Sir Alex Ferguson. Oh, make no mistake about it, those born winners would still have had more haters than Liam Payne. I mean, if Twitter DMs existed in 2005, I'd imagine Wayne Rooney's phone would have been filled with more hate than Katie Hopkins' heart. I mean, would you have invited Carlos Tevez to a picnic? But ever since Fergie left, Old Trafford has clearly been infiltrated by the type of entitled, modern Instagram brats who'd get offended for being scolded for being late to training. I genuinely believe that Paul Pogba has a lot to answer for the lack of discipline and standards at Manchester United now. That toxic beanpole was at Old Trafford for 6 years. I would imagine it's a bit like being in a 6-year relationship with Chris Brown. Yeah, I mean, by the end of it, you'll have picked up on so many bad habits, you probably also think it's normal to kick your puppy off a fridge. I'm not saying that I hate these players. No, I don't really care. But Harry Maguire has received so much online abuse. Even his own mum has had to complain about like a 12-year-old who keeps getting bullied at school. I don't think I've ever spoken to a non-Manchester United fan who would like to grab a beer with Bruno Fernandes. The popular opinion is that, yeah, he is about as likable as Darth Vader. I mean, every time I look at Anthony, he looks like someone who's about to slap his butler for serving him cold soup. And I won't even talk about the lads away on loan. I hope that Man United in 5 years' time have a crop of players that they can be proud of. Just good, hard-working men who respect the club. They remind me of what Arsenal used to be. A bunch of pompous millionaires who didn't really care for the club. I mean, why do you think so many of them jumped ship to Man City? 19th, West Ham. Kurt Zouma kicks cats. I don't care that the rest of the West Ham squad are nice, affable gentlemen. I don't care that Mikel Antonio is trying his best to balance out the bad Zouma vibes by being a happy-go-lucky Jimmy Bullard-esque banter king on the internet. I don't care. For as long as Zouma is still on the Hammers payroll, he's always going to ruin the good vibes of the squad in the eyes of everybody else. 18th, Nottingham Forest. Maybe I am being harsh to chuck Nottingham Forest into the relegation zone of this list, but they do not seem like the friendliest bunch, and there are always question marks lingering over Callum Hudson-Odoi's attitude at Chelsea. Willy Boddy was thrown out of Wolves after going on strike to force a move, whilst club captain Serge Aurier seemed to be in trouble every 5 minutes at PSG, whilst Gonzalo Montiel was thrown out of Sevilla in disgrace. But Divock Origi does have millions of Liverpool fans on his side, people who would probably gladly eat their firstborn in a pie just to see him smile. So I still feel I'm probably very wrong. I don't know these Forest players. For all I know, chilling with these lads at the canteen after training could well be about as much fun as a trip to Disneyland. 17th, Everton. I don't dislike Everton's squad, not at all. I hope they stay up, but I would imagine there are plenty of haters out there to weigh them down into the bottom 4. Let's start off with Jordan Pickford in net, who I would imagine, considering his boisterous, wind-up merchant behavior on the pitch, he is probably the biggest enemy goalkeeper in the league. People love to hate him. I would hate to see his own private post box. It'll be stuffed with constant hate mail from Liverpool and Newcastle fans. I mean, this is a guy who openly celebrated Newcastle's relegation while at Sunderland, and he also nearly ended Virgil van Dijk's career. Make no mistake about it, Geordies and Red Scousers probably do send him envelopes filled with cat poo every single day. Look, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a decent player, but I would imagine there's a bunch of bills from down the pub in Wigan who hate the fact he likes to wear purses and skirts. Dele Alli has quite a bit of sympathy from the footballing world at the minute, but before that, you could not move for people screaming that he's another pompous jailings who should have had his contract ripped up and fed to a pig, especially when he was unveiled at Goodison Park. And poor old Amadou Onana's Instagram DMs are probably flooded with so many cases of mistaken identity. I mean, that poor inoffensive bloke is probably repeatedly told several times a day by angry 11-year-olds that he's the worst goalkeeper they've ever seen in their life. I'm not sure, maybe I'm wrong, but the feeling I get is that this current crop of Toffee's players are not the most popular. 16th, Aston Villa. This one is weird because I think most neutrals are cheering on Aston Villa this season. It's only when you look at the players in their squad up close that you might feel a little different. In the same way everybody loved Leicester City winning the league in 2016, and yes, there were some great guys in that squad, but Danny Simpson? And lads, I recently saw a Danny Drinkwater retirement podcast with Jake Humphries, where most of the comments were 90% negative, whilst Jamie Vardy is probably now scared to pick his children up from school for fear of having manic Rooney fanboys throwing their lunches at his car. Even as I speak, he is probably scraping dried petit falou off his bonnet with a spoon. And so with Aston Villa, right. Well, goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez is probably neck and neck with Pickford in the goalkeeping villain stakes. I mean, he's got the entire nation of France after him. Lucadinha is seen as a greedy moneybags bad guy left back by most of Merseyside, and a little bit Newcastle for failing to join them. Yuri Tielemans seems to have the entitled spoiled brat sulking attitude. A bit like a midfield version of Anelka, just nowhere near as good. And Nicola Zaniolo had major attitude problems at Roma, apparently. Yeah, a multi-million-pound footballer who is handsome and troublesome. That causes most football fans to then wish he'd stub his toe on a fridge. And yeah, it is a pretty incendiary bit of squad for most, right? 15 Chelsea. You know what I will say? For years, opposition fans hated Chelsea's squad. Remember back in their glory days when their players would rush to the referee for every decision? Back when John Terry was the face of the club? I know that rival fans would have liked them as about as much as they like cat wheat in their Frosties. But this Chelsea squad, while being nowhere near as good, is actually, I don't want to say liked, but not disliked. Everyone of their current crop is sort of quiet. They keep their head down. They don't rock the boat. They don't wind up in tabloids. They're all just like Conor Gallagher. Just so vanilla and lukewarm. I do think Cole Palmer is becoming a bit of a Joker-esque villain. I mean, come on, if he keeps calling himself Cold Palmer, I think I might actually burst a blood vessel in my nose. But other than him, it's a fairly relaxed, nice bunch of lads. I mean, Levi Colwill agreed to be in a Chris and D video. I mean, come on. 14th Man City. Manchester City have an incredible squad. It's absolutely footballing perfection, but a lot of people dislike them. These are wonderful, brilliant players. But I mean, Liverpool fans will never forgive Bernardo Silva for refusing to clap them during the Guard of Honor 4 years ago. And Jack Grealish will never be able to buy a beer in Dublin without suspecting the barman of spitting in his drink. Phil Foden is probably a nice, lovely guy, but he's just unfortunate in that everyone else has made up their mind that he's there to be disliked. He reminds me of Ashley Cole, who it turns out many years after he retired that everyone was wrong about him. Yeah, I mean, a bit of a liability as a husband, but just a quiet, nice guy. Not the brash, moneybags, horrible person everyone created in their minds. I mean, the likes of Kyle Walker is fiercely hated by Arsenal fans, and let's be honest, probably his wife. But to be fair, the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland, the prime poster boy, they are universally loved football creatures. They probably do dilute the bad feelings somewhat in this squad. So yeah, I'll stick them about 14th. 13th, Brentford. Brentford squad is mostly fine, but Neil Maupay. It doesn't matter that everyone else is a lovable, nice, pleasant fellow. Having an absolute, unashamed villain like Maupay in the squad, it's about like having the nicest, most charming tea party in the world. And yet you've got Ted Bundy sitting in the corner, slurping his coffee. It's going to spoil the ambiance. 12th, Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace have a fairly nice squad. No real troublemakers, just a bunch of sizzling talent. But Manchester United fans don't like their goalie Dean Henderson, who does seem like he's got a bit of a Joe Hart attitude. I love Michael Olise. He seems like a cool, cold character, but because of his non-celebrations, he does remind me of a Cantona or a Balotelli, which can be polarizing to some. I don't know. If Olise was whacking in those wonder goals on a bigger stage for a bigger club and then chose to just celebrate like a statue with a pigeon pooing on its head, he might get called arrogant. 11th, Arsenal. This Arsenal squad has come a long way from the petulant money grabbers of the past who probably used to just laugh at Arsenal fan TV on their phones. I think this Gunner squad, they do care about the badge, and there's not even that many cartoon villains in here that opposition fans can hate. I mean, other than the glaring one for me, Declan Rice, somebody who treated the Ireland badge as if it was just toilet paper and Burger King. But other than that, yeah, Kai Havertz is that pantomime villain for everyone else. But again, that is going to happen when you look like an Instagram model, are paid nearly £300,000 a week, and just stroll about the pitch as if you're Christmas shopping with your wife. But there are mostly a lot of good guys in this Gunner squad, like Bukayo Saka, Alexander Zinchenko, Aaron Ramsdale. Even Emil Smith-Rowe looks like someone who your grandmother would love to pinch his cheeks. So yeah, 11th. 10th, Liverpool. I like Liverpool's players. I don't have much of a problem with them, but I am not everyone. I know there'll be loads of people who are irritated by Trent Alexander-Arnold's unwillingness to defend. There'll be people who hate Virgil van Dijk's brash arrogance. Roy Keane being one. And I think we've already established how polarizing Jurgen Klopp can be. But on a whole, I think people respect this Liverpool squad. How hard they work, how committed they are. There's only one or two opposition villains in here, right? Andy Robertson and maybe Harvey Elliott. But everyone else, it's just epitomized by Alisson Becker. Just an all-around brilliant bloke who everyone respects. I mean, surely. I don't think there's a single human being on planet Earth who has a bad word to say about Alisson. I mean, surely. 9th, Sheffield United. Does anyone hate the current Sheffield United crop? Hate? No. Pity? Oh yes, this is still mostly the same squad which were humiliatingly dragged into the championship just 2 years ago. They remind me of Sunderland in 2006, who set a then record points low of 15. Yeah, that was terrible, but what did they expect? 3 years earlier, that same group of players had finished bottom with a record low points total that season, 19. Those same players beating their own terrible record. So similarly, with Chris Wilder's bunch, nobody hates them. You just feel sorry for them, as if you're looking at a bunch of blind, helpless lambs about to be eaten by a wolf. 8th, Burnley. Burnley don't have any true bad guys in their squad. How can they when they got Fogden's pretend twinning goal? It's a very pleasant, inoffensive CBB type squad. And Marshall by Vincent Kompany, who is probably the most universally beloved coach in the league, right? Everyone likes him, even Man United fans. I mean, surely for having such a dignified, respectful gentleman such as him in charge, for that alone, I'm chucking them into the top 8. But again, Burnley could probably do with a few bad guys. Signing David Fofana on loan from Chelsea is a start. Someone who ruined his spell at Hertha Berlin for refusing to shake the manager's hand when coming off the pitch. That's very Carlos Tevez-esque. 7th, Bournemouth. Bournemouth have a nice squad too, but then they always have. Have Bournemouth ever truly had a squad filled with nasty, aggressive ogres who you wouldn't trust not to eat your grandma with a fork? They've always had a culture of just having nice, top blokes in their squad. Well, I mean, aside from 1 or 2 rotten apples. Remember when Ryan Fraser refused to play in the relegation scrap in 2020 because he was scared of an injury wrecking a big dream move to Arsenal or Liverpool, like the paper suggested? In the end, he just signed on a free for Steve Bruce. Oh, how exciting. But yeah, Bournemouth are a good bunch of lads. 6th, Wolves. Look, you all know my feelings on Gary O'Neill, but looking at the Wolves squad, again, they seem like a good bunch of guys. Greg Dawson is one of the biggest cult heroes in the Premier League. I mean, come on. People call him Ballon Dorson. The likes of Matt Doherty, Tommy Doyle, Pedro Neto, Hwang Hee-chan. People love these sort of guys. They run themselves into the floor. There's not even any egos in this squad. Just hardworking, good lads. Yeah, Wolves are likable. It's just a shame they've got an underqualified pencil in charge. 5th, Fulham. Fulham's squad seem like a bunch of nice guys too, right? There's no real bad word to say about any of them. João Palhinha's attitude since his Bayern Munich move was cancelled has been exemplary beyond belief. Yes, William was chased out of Brazil due to loads of hate, but overall, yeah, Fulham have a decent group. 4th, Luton Town. Everyone loves this Luton Town squad. A team of absolute battlers. Absolutely grafting for the shirt. They've got one villain in their team. Ross Barkley, who annoyed Everton fans when he quit for Chelsea 6 years ago. But is that it? Just one bad guy in an otherwise well-loved squad? I mean, chuck in the issues with Tom Lockyer, how the entire club is united around him. No, there's a lot of goodwill for Luton right now. 3rd, Newcastle. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that Newcastle squad is one of the least toxic ones in the league. I think everybody respects these players, right? The leadership of Kieran Trippier, the brilliance of Bruno Guimaraes, the incredible turnaround tale that is Joe Linton's career. Even Jacob Murphy seems like the most smiley creature in the league. Just happy to be a professional footballer for the club that he supports. Lads, I actually met Jacob at Marks and Spencer's, and I played a prank on him, pretending I thought he was his twin Josh. He laughed, although his missus scowled at me as if I just asked to smell his feet. But come on, Mickey Almiron. How can you hate Mickey Almiron? He looks like one of the nicest guys in the world. And the whole internet jumping to his defense after Grealish slagged him off. I mean, Dan Burn and Sean Longstaff are just happy homegrown Geordies. Callum Wilson is a mirror image of Mikhail Antonio. A charming, happy banter boy who's sure to be a pundit. Yes, Anthony Gordon is unfairly seen as a bit of a rat on Merseyside. He's Newcastle's version of a modern day Craig Bellamy, but otherwise, surely people like Newcastle's players. Right? 2nd, Tottenham. Tottenham have a nice squad, but then they always usually do. I mean, there is one villain in their team who sort of lowers the likability factor. Any guesses who it is? Of course, Richarlison, who I think actually enjoys being the guy who everybody loves to hate. He's a bit of a Neymar without the skill. But yeah, the rest of Tottenham squad is stuff with hard-working, committed, quality players. Everyone loves James Maddison's refreshing honesty in interviews. I mean, it is so refreshing to hear a footballer sound like anything other than a media-trained robot who is afraid to think. And I mean, with most of Asia on his side, I'm guessing Son Heung-min is the most popular player in the league, while even the likes of Timo Werner, he gives me Fernando Torres at Chelsea vibes. Yes, pretty rubbish in front of goal, had all the depleted self-confidence of a divorced grandma of 5, but because he worked hard, people wanted him to do well. And chuck in the fact they got Liverpool Big Ange at the wheel. And yeah, this Tottenham squad is liked. 1st, Brighton. Everyone loves Brighton. I know they do. For years, everybody, they couldn't get enough of this club. I mean, their players, there's not a bad egg in there. James Milner is arguably the most respected footballer in the history of the Premier League, and he's in the squad. They're good to watch. The players are brave, adventurous. Even João Pedro, a Brazilian forward snapped up from Watford, right? He was supposed to be the next Richarlison, but no, he's not even a moody, surly brat. If anything, he smiles more than Ronaldinho. I mean, the whole nation of Ireland is so in love with how down-to-earth Evan Ferguson is. He's like the anti-Conor McGregor. Yeah, a very rich millionaire, sure, but he always just looks like someone who's just come from milking cows on a bog in Sligo. And Danny Welbeck has always been a lovable cult hero in this league. So honestly, Brighton are the most liked squad in the Premier League. Anyway, that's the end of it. Let me go. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Have I got this all wrong? Probably. Let me know, okay? Let me know in the comments. What do you think? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, share, subscribe, and as always, talk to you in a while.